Hey everyone, it's Ivan, KitBadger.com, here to bring you another gear review, and today we're talking about this little guy right here, which is the Valkyrie PL-MINI by Olight. What is this guy? It's a weapons light. Comes with two different adapters, one either for a pick rail or the other for a Glock. Basically locks into that slot, this throw lever here, boom, locks in place. We now have a light mounted on our weapon, in this case a Gen 5 Glock 19. With respect to controls, right here on the back you have kind of a rocker arm, somewhat reminiscent to the Surefire X300s. And to activate it, you go ahead and either left or right side, tap down. Immediately the light comes on and stays on. Tap down again, it'll turn off, or if you press and hold down, it'll stay on intermittently until you release it, at which point the light will go off. What do I really like about this light? Honestly, my favorite thing is the battery. Uses a lithium polymer battery. Right there, double-edged sword. On the one hand, you can't replace it. Like, it's internal. So you don't unscrew a cap, pull a AAA out, anything like that. But it's a lithium polymer, rechargeable, pretty durable batteries. So my favorite part about it is how you charge it. Basically, it comes with this charging cable. Plug it into a USB, and this is magnetic. Boom, locks on there. Pull it off. Again, so the idea of this being a everyday carry light and the fact that you can basically have this on your nightstand, and when you get home, throw this guy on there, that means every time you step out, this thing's charged. That I think is huge, rather than having to ultimately use like a battery tester or just hoping your batteries are charged. That for me is probably the coolest thing about this light, which ironically leads me to what I don't really care for about this light. Because the lithium polymer battery, not really a design constraint there. Obviously some sort of design constraint, but they weren't working around like a AAA battery or a CR123, anything like that. They can basically build a battery to fit in this, which I think is really cool. But problem for me is this external geometry doesn't fit any other light out there. So it's not like they match the external geometry of like Surefire's little XC light or anything like that. They basically came up with their own light, which is fine, except from the holster manufacturing standpoint, it makes it hard. Like, you're not going to go to Safariland and find a holster that's going to fit this. Granted, there are some holster makers out there, but if someone's just wrapping Kydex, pretty easy for them to just buy one of these, throw it in their mold, wrap some Kydex around it. But companies like Safariland or PJ Holsters, who's actually machining basically molds for lights, guns, stuff like that, becomes cost prohibitive for all these different kind of like one-off lights out there. Really would have liked to have seen, I don't know if it's copyright, IP infringement, something like that, but honestly just use the external geometry of a light that's already there, because again, going back to the way this charges, this makes for an amazing everyday carry light, with the fact that this thing will always be topped off. As far as output on this goes, 400 lumens, pretty bright. Your burn time's about an hour, which that's a long time activating a weapon mounted light. Hopefully way more than you would ever need. As far as the output from this, beam throw, everything like that, honestly it throws a beam further than most people can effectively shoot their pistol at night probably. Having said that, 400 lumens. When it comes to identifying a threat, especially at distance, is there a weapon? Kind of want all of the lumens, but this does a pretty good job. Because of the beam, it's kind of wider in my experience than some other weapon mounted lights, which is fine. Where I think this actually does well is honestly indoors. Again, going back to a bedside gun. This actually does pretty good, like kind of illuminating basically the entire room, stuff along those lines. Right here, I'm at 10 yards with the Olight PL-MINI. I'm now at 25 yards with the PL-MINI by Olight. And this right here is 50 yards with the PL-MINI. Kind of a long shot at night. Whew. Did I mention it was a long shot? You can, of course, mount this on other weapon systems. Right here, it's on a full-size P320. One thing you will notice is when you activate it, right there on the bottom, depending on how long the frame of the pistol, you'll end up with light splashing there, ultimately creating a big kind of V shadow going up for you. Specs-wise, waterproof to IPX6 rating. Gonna do fine in rain, anything like that. Probably don't want to swim with it. As far as dimensionally, it's about a little under 2.5 inches long, little under 1.25 inches wide, and then about 1 inch tall. Weight-wise, about 2.25 ounces, pretty lightweight. And you got a Cree LED bulb right there facing you. Where do I think this shines, pun intended? Honestly, as kind of that nightstand gun. While I'm sure you could absolutely carry this and it'll probably do a great job for you, I haven't found or had experience with holsters that fit this. Kind of hard to find, track them down. And granted, they are absolutely out there. But yeah, I think until this basically is sized to match kind of other lights on the market, I think it's kind of niche. And I think it honestly does really good as far as a bedside gun though, because this ability to go ahead and keep this battery always charged, always topped off. Speaking of which, there's actually a little indicator light there, basically to give you kind of battery status. But that I think is really important. I would actually honestly like to see that technology moved into a lot of other weapon mounted lights, because most people have no idea the status of the battery in their weapon mounted light. Like granted, if it's their duty pistol, maybe they change it out every however many months, but most people honestly don't know. And to have something that's always topped off, I think that's really good. But honestly, price-wise, pretty good deal. Pick these guys up on Amazon for about 80 bucks. And 80 bucks for a little weapon light that basically doesn't ever need batteries, pretty good deal. If you pick one up, or if you have experience with it, let me know in the comments how it's done for you. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.